My Briselblack engineer boots are fantastic. However, they didn't start out that way. Welcome, I'm Murawski, and this is the channel that helps you own better, look better, and live better. I first heard the name Briselblack while judging the work patina Thunderdome for Stitch Down. I'd never seen them before, but they had a pair of Boondockers, I think, which looked amazing, and I think they actually took a prize that year. Prior to that, Briselblack was known as Benzene, and people knew them for making some of the best laceless boots you could buy. So I made a mental note to check out Briselblack, but it wasn't until Stridewise did his excellent video on Indonesian boot makers that I decided to pull the trigger. Briselblack have two options: made to measure, which is basically custom, and then ready to wear, which is, good to ship right away. And it was just by pure luck that I was perusing the ready-to-wear section and I found a pair of Engineers. And the clincher there was that they were rough out horse hide leather. And I had just gotten my Field Leathers rough out jacket that I'm like, oh man, this is like autumn rough out dreams. It's just me and colorful leaves and apple cider as far as the eye can see. Here are the specs. The last is the Capac or K-Pack. I don't know how to pronounce that. The upper is made of rough out horse butt from Miriam Tannery. It is a single midsole. They feature Dr. Sole half soles. The construction is a 270-degree flat welt. Now this differs from a storm welt in that a flat welt is a style of Goodyear welt made with a flat piece of leather as the connection between the upper and the midsole. It basically looks a lot more clean and tidy. These have an unstructured toe box and the heels are woodsman style. Upon receiving the boots, I was very impressed while looking them over. The stitching was clean, the design was very good. Engineers are tough to get the proportions right on, but they did a very good job. I was really impressed, but there was one problem. I couldn't get them on. Now, I don't mean that they were hard to get on or they were uncomfortable. I mean, I couldn't get them on. I tried everything, along shoehorn, plastic bags, praying to the boot gods, nothing worked. Here are these beautiful boots which complemented my new Field Leathers rough out jacket perfectly, and I can't even get my foot into them. If you buy enough boots, this eventually will happen, and when it does, you'll go through 5 stages. Stage 1, denial. No, they're fine, I just need to lose a little bit of weight and then they'll fit. Stage 2, anger.
Why won't these damn boots go on?
Stage 3, bargaining.
All right, I don't need both feet, just let me get one foot in, that's all I need.
Stage 4, depression.
Why am I cursed with these incredibly masculine feet?
And finally, stage 5, acceptance.
Well, looks like these are going up for sale.
But there was one last thing I could try. A technique only spoken about in whispers and relegated to only the nerdiest corners of the internet. A technique which could very well ruin a perfectly good pair of brand new $850 boots. But was the risk worth the reward? How to stretch out boots. Materials needed: 5-gallon bucket and hot water. Measure the upper shaft of the boots from the heel counter to the top and fill a bucket with hot water to the measured height. Turn boots upside down and set into water, making sure not to go past the heel counter. Now wait. Leather, especially vegetable tanned leather, becomes very pliable in hot water. As a matter of fact, this is how they wet form holsters and knife sheaths and stuff like that. The goal here was to soften and stretch the upper shaft of these boots while not affecting the lowers, because I didn't want to trap water in all those different layers of leather. Eventually that could lead to mold and mildew and basically disgusting boots. After 30 minutes or so soaking in the hot water, I removed the boots, pat them dry, and hoped for the best. With a long shoehorn and plastic bags on my feet, they did go on. Very tightly at first, but then a bit easier with each attempt. Not wanting them to dry out and shrink, I buckled them up and I went on a walk. At the end of the day, a healthy application of Obenauf's boot oil and a beer to celebrate my victory over the dreaded narrow shaft engineer boots. It's been about a month now, and as you know, I like to really get to know a product before I make a video on it. And these have gotten better with each wear. They're still tight to get on and off, but they're getting better by the day. So little by little, I am stretching them out and forming them to my foot, which is what you want. Compared to the other engineer boots that I've owned, the Briselblacks are nice and sleek. They're probably the sleekest. They have a great pointy looking toe box, which will collapse and mold as I wear them even more. Now, horsehide is a tough leather, and this Merriam Roughout is very beautiful. Luckily, you could be a little bit more forgiving with the clicking when you're selecting pieces of leather for boots when you use Roughout, but it almost doesn't matter because I soaked these and then oiled them, and I'm not really planning on cleaning them after this because I love patina, and as long as the stuff stays relatively clean and moisturized, I'm fine with it. But I'm not gonna take saddle soap and get rid of all the scars and scuffs that add to the character of the thing. I really like the low profile roller buckles. They work really well and they suit these boots perfectly. When you begin looking closer at these boots is when you notice the little details, the little decorative stitching flourish on the back, the leather reinforcement for the upper buckle, and the perfectly executed flat welt joint. If I have one criticism of these boots, it's that the heel counter isn't as thick as I would like. Maybe I'm just so used to Pacific Northwest boots, but I really like the feeling of locking my heel into a structured heel cup. With laceless boots, you'll always have a little slop, but a good heel can help reduce that feeling. Now at $865, these boots aren't cheap, but most of the time we know that with engineers just getting into it. And at that price, you actually have a lot of options. Probably the one that people will think of first is the Mr. Lou. Now, the Mr. Lou is a great engineer boot. I love these, I wear them all the time, but more or less what you're looking at here is a thick PNW style boot, which is kind of overbuilt, and some people like that. And on this side, you have a much sleeker, kind of almost dressier engineer. And I know that even when you look at them here, I can see myself, right? The difference doesn't look like it's that dramatic, but these right here are double row stitch down, so this lip right here is a little bit more pronounced than it is on these. These are also newer, so they're going to flatten out, they're gonna get a little bit pointier in the front, and the proportions overall in the end are simply just a little less voluminous than the Mr. Lou. I think these are great, and I don't think you need to look at these as an expensive engineer boot. What I think the best thing to do is look at them as like a half price clinch. Because in the end, I feel that these are still punching well above their weight. They are beautifully finished, very nicely put together. I would like to see a pair with some of the non-rough out leather, just to kind of see how they do that, but they've been really executed at a very high level, so there's not really a whole lot missing from these that you would be getting for double the price for some other options. But I think that every time we talk about something very expensive like this, or a leather jacket or something like that, a little bit of perspective is in order. Now, if you have to save up for something like this, and that means that you have to miss out on great times with friends and family, going out to dinner, going out to the park or to an event, or just hanging out at somebody's house because you're trying to save every penny you possibly can for the boots that you think will make the difference in your life, it's not worth it. In my opinion, $865 means a lot of good times with friends and family. And that is actually what is important in this life. When you're on your deathbed, you won't be thinking about those boots that you saved up and bought. Although they're great, there's no doubt about that. You'll be wishing that you spent more time with the people who matter most to you. And it's worth doing that. In my opinion, that's where the smart money is spent, because you just never know when it's going to be the last time. Anyway, thank you for watching. These boots are great. I don't want to end it on a sad note, but perspective, it's the key. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.